So, welcome to the Bun and Games podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we have a special episode because I'm joined by the talented Evlyn Moreau. You probably know Evlyn from primarily her art on more projects that I can name off here, but she's also the creator of Where the Wheat Grows Tall, His Arrival is Foretold, and many, many more. So, welcome, Evlyn. How are you doing?
Hello. Well, I'm doing fine. Working a lot of projects and commissions.
Yeah, are there any of those that you can talk about right now? Anything in particular that you can plug?
Well, right now the big thing I'm doing, I think, is the artwork for the a small sign about crime fighting luchadors, written by Martin Willett, one of my few in real life friends that I can see in person that do create role playing game stuff. So
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a really fun project because yeah,
Yeah, I've been
like
seeing the art on your Patreon, where just the different luchador art looks really really fun.
Yeah, yeah. I was a bit surprised that he did ask me because I was not, luchador is not one of my things, but I was like, oh yeah, let's try to do something like out of my usual interest. So, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I was actually curious about that because I've seen a lot of your art goes from stuff for like liminal horror or Mothership or even stuff like just sort of Call of Cthulhu kind of things. And so when I saw the luchador stuff, I was like, I had no idea that Evelyn was into like luchador. Because
No, but I would say that like I'm into like B movies and
mhm,
grindhouse movies and stuff. So there's a bit of connection with all the luchadors movies
mhm.
there, but yeah. And and look, well, also Luchador is a bit kind of like B B movie comic books about superheroes, B movie superheroes kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And well, speaking of superhero, the also I did some of the art on the Longshot City. It's a Troika act that's coming from Australian art. It is like a superhero game using Troika rule set as a base engine for the game.
Oh, cool.
And
I've never played Troika, but I've seen a lot of stuff for Troika. Is that one of those like rules light OSR ones? Is that sort of like I haven't have you played it at all? Because I can't remember off the top of my head what its main
yeah,
vibe is.
I've played a bit, and it's like the fantasy fighting games. Books from the UK. Like it's kind of like OSR for these. So it's inspired by their rule set and stuff, but it's much more a bit more complex than that. But it's yeah, it's about like complexity level, kind of like a OSR other OSR game that are inspired from D&D. But it's interesting that it's a OSR game that take its roots somewhere else than from the
Yeah,
D&D. Yeah.
yeah. No, the fighting fantasy ones. The only stuff I know is
Uh,
that there's the vintage RPG podcast talk about those. That's my only connection to those because I had never heard them outside because I think they're just like really British. I think right because I think mostly Americans and Canadians have mostly gone to D&D when those were coming out. So I think it's not really huge here in Canada. I haven't heard
yeah.
anybody here really talk about those older games other than
What,
British
what,
people.
yeah, when I was a kid, they were at the library at my high school, and they were kind of my introduction to
Oh,
role
really?
playing game before I could have a group and
Yeah.
like interact with people. So I was reading this, and that made me like, okay, role playing game it's like that, but with people around a table.
Nice. Yeah, no, I actually because I'm from the generation that came in on 5e, so I'm always excited or interested to hear at least how people got into the hobby because I think most people comes in through 3.5 or 5e. So whenever somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I just came in through this like totally different random RPG and now I'm playing all these different things." I always think that's very fun. I have my nieces were in town recently and I asked them if they're interested in RPGs, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've been talking about this stuff." So I'm thinking I might try and get them in outside of D&D. I might bring them in with like Vase and other stuff because they love art. So I might try and bring them in through some obscure RPG that they will that they'll have never heard of from anybody else. But so you said this Troika game was about you said superheroes.
Yeah, yeah, it's a superheroes game, but a bit more street level than cosmic level, kind of like Daredevil,
Daredevil, yeah.
Batman stuff, but also with more like diversity of set of powers. But yeah, it's fun. We were three illustrator working on it, and I did like some of the NPCs and the archetype. I did drew the big map of the city. Like there's a big map with all the
Ooh.
districts and stuff. So that was a challenging map to do because it's a city map, and I had to find a way to simplify it enough so that you can still see different, element on the map without like getting like an all over effect from the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen your map work in general is like really, really good, and I think it does a good job being distinct and easy to read. Um, but if you're working with other artists, are you kind of like independent on your art, or do the three of you have to come together and sort of find like a sort of consistent art style, or do you guys all just sort of do your own thing and then just put it into the project?
Yeah, for that project, I was not in communication with the other artists. I only saw their work near the end of the project. So that was a good surprise, but yeah, it could be interesting for a future project to work like more in coordination with
Hmm.
other artists. I will find that interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anything else you're working on right now that you're allowed to talk about?
There is stuff that I'm working on for liminal art that I'm trying to produce by myself for getting ready for Halloween
Ooh.
because I hope to publish some stuff in print. Like I want to do like liminal high school with a few extra random table and do a print of it. But yeah, October is coming quickly. I
Yes,
already
yes.
have plans.
I know it's already August. No, that's totally fair. That's cool. Um,
Yeah, and other small design. My other interests these days are a bit like also with Cyborg and Morgborg. Uh, I'm trying to do like small design for them, uh,
oh,
like
cool.
pamphlet adventure and stuff. I've released one adventure that's called The Feast for Sphinx with Sofia Ramos as a co-author. Uh, but that's only like a PDF adventure. But I'm trying to make a print run out of it too. Like recently, I'm like, oh, I need to get back to do prints. So that's kind of in my mind. But yeah, I've yet to produce something.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a whole extra bit of work, right? But I do hear it pays off to actually have print stuff that people can get because I know like there's a lot of people who like print over PDF, though I do think that is changing somewhat.
yeah.
But yeah, I think
Yeah, yeah. Some people prefer that. There was recently there was a rep I did two reprint of Where the Weeds Grow Tall that were sent to Monkey Pass Game and also to Ratty and Cantati web stores. So, but there's only like 12 copy for each of these stores. So,
oh, okay.
it's still like very limited print runs.
Yeah. Are they the hardcover ones I saw, or are they like the softcover ones like the one I got from the Kickstarter?
This is the same print as as a Kickstarter.
Nice.
Which is also somebody that recently contacted me to like a special deluxe print with interior color page in like old book fashion imitation.
Ooh.
I'm curious to see where that will go, but I don't have enough information yet
Yeah, it's
to
too early.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I'd love to see that. I love that adventure. Actually, I need to run it again with Worlds Without Number because I ran it with OSC back in the day when we actually when I first started the channel. You were like one of the first videos was talking to you. So I gotta do that one again. And so if you end up doing a special print run, I'm absolutely gonna grab that.
Yeah, I have other plans for where the wheels grow tall. Like I have three small adventure that are in the same setting, we could say. Like they're not Lincoln, but there's some creatures and some character that come
Yeah,
back into this
like
adventure.
thematically.
Yeah, yeah. So I would love to like finish writing them and maybe do like a Kickstarter for the tree, like a bundle of the three small
Nice.
adventure
Yeah.
together. Yeah. But I think that will probably happen like next year if I get to it because
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean you work on so much stuff. I totally get that. Just the just the amount of ideas that you want to do versus how many you can actually feasibly do with the time you have. Yeah. It
Oh my, it's getting so frustrating sometimes.
yeah. No, I totally get it. I have like 6 or 7 scripts written out and I'm like I just keep pushing some of them back cuz I'm like I'll do it next month and I'll just work on something easier and then like that month comes in I'm like next month again. I'll just I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
So I
I
totally get that.
I try to keep my commissions work to a minimum to be
Hmm.
able to focus more like on project and stuff. But yeah, I need to pay rent, so I need
Yeah,
to take your commissions too. And so yeah, that occupy a lot of my creative time.
absolutely. I don't know if this is too personal a question in terms of financial stuff, but would you say that like or like would you say like commissions are like the best way for you to sort of make money like quickly versus working on projects and getting them out? Like do you like are the sales from the projects that you get out more, are those I guess more financially stable than commissions, or is it better to just try and get commissions from patrons and other people?
Well, actually, my main source of revenue is my Patreon.
Mm.
I started my Patreon by back during Google Plus era, and I've been steadily working on it, keeps growing a number
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So that now it's like half my revenue is coming from my Patreon, and
Yeah,
which is really good because otherwise I would like to take like double the commission I take now.
absolutely.
And yeah, yeah. So I'm very thankful to everybody who will keep supporting me on Patreon, and
Mm.
I'm very generous. My
Oh
heart,
yeah,
I try
I
to post a lot and
absolutely. If there's any RPG creators who are listening to this, Evlyn puts out a load of art that you can just use in your work. Or if you're doing, so I asked you if you can do stuff for videos and stuff, like, so you're pretty generous with the amount of stuff, and you put so much stuff out. I get emails every day of the art you're putting out. Um, so it is also a great way if people want good art for a very very low price. I would definitely look
yeah.
at Evelyn's Patreon, which I'll put in the show notes. Um,
I'm always like so happy and surprised when people like use of my illustration and craft design out of them.
yeah,
So that's always fun to see how different people interpret
yeah.
different artwork. Yeah, so I like that. And so yeah, I would say like Patreon first. After that, commissions and like selling a PDF. It's not a lot of money. Like it's not a lot for me.
Mhm.
Uh,
Actually, you know what? This actually segues a little bit easily into one of my patron questions. Was one of them really loves a lot of your art, especially like your spooky stuff, and they were actually curious if you ever planned on doing any merch or stuff, like any selling T-shirts or sweatshirts or anything like with your art on it. If that was ever a thing that you were considering or looking at doing at some point for extra
I
revenue.
d- I had like a Redbubble page like a while ago where I had T-shirts and other stuff. And but now I've removed everything except the stickers.
Mm.
But the thing is that how Redbubble work, like it's really not profitable for me. Like I will make like $10 a
Oh
month,
wow. Okay. Yeah.
like out of it. So I'm not very motivated to put stuff out there on
Yeah.
that platform. And like the right way will be to do like my own stores and sell stuff myself and ship things myself.
Yeah.
But that's also like a lot of work
So much work. Yeah.
and yeah, right now I don't have the mind space for that. But recently somebody contacted me to do stickers out of my artwork. They want to do like a sticker that change color depending on the temperature of the
Oh, that's so
sticker.
cool. That'd be really
Yeah.
fun.
So yeah, if people want to do like stuff with my art, like merch and stuff, like you can contact me. I will be happy because that's something that I don't have merch myself to handle. But if somebody else want to offer to do it, I will be happy to do that. Like also recently somebody contacted me to do like small wooden miniatures, like maple meeples,
Yeah.
with characters of mine. So I need to work on that soon. It will be like a set of six meeple miniatures with my art for motherships, I think, or games like
Oh,
Mothership, yeah,
that'd be cool.
like
Would that be the same sort? Would you just draw the art and they would just take that and translate it to meeples, or would you need to design it differently? Do you know, like, would it be a whole different process just to get into meeple form?
Well, it's a bit like stickers. You need to be careful with like some of the empty space between like the arms or with the weapons. Yeah, you need to think about the contour shape of the illustration. But yeah, it's a very easy constraint to work.
Cool. Um, yeah, well, I know one thing we both want to talk about because I was interested to hear your opinion on this was just what the indie RPG space is, or slash the indie RPG sort of creator life is like post Twitter implosion. Or X implosion, I guess, at the time of this. I don't know what it'll be like a year from now, which will probably be nothing, but
Oh my, that's yeah, that's a big topic. I've been posting about that or talking a bit on social media like a few occasions since the beginning of the year. Like I left Twitter early as after Musk took over, especially because I saw like a lot of transphobia, and so
yeah,
like I was like, for my mental health, I prefer not.
absolutely.
Deal with that. And so I left I went to Mastodon. It took me like 3 tries to get into Mastodon. Like the first 2 times I was like, what's going on there? How to use the platform? But now I grew back my network on Mastodon, over 1,000
Okay.
followers. And yeah, I enjoy the platform. It's very quiet, a bit too quiet.
Hmm.
Like I'm not looking for infighting or stuff like that, but I'm looking for maybe a bit more discussions and
Yeah.
like interaction between peoples. But yeah, so much now I feel like there's less interaction than there was on Twitter, which is make it less a bit less interesting to post there.
Yeah.
But it's very cozy and quiet. So there's also that. I mean, it's not like it's not a bad platform, but yeah. And yeah, that feel very different now. I know that everybody's moving, opening accounts in all the platform, but
Yeah.
who's using their account? That's another question. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing. Like, who's posting where? Like, do you follow somebody and they never post, and you're like, oh, maybe they're posting on another platform, you know? So like, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to reconnect with people, and
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I haven't used Mastodon because I remember looking at it for a little bit, but I never used Twitter. I never had a Twitter account. I was always more of a like a Reddit guy. But I think Mastodon's issue is that I think because it's not super easy to get into right away. I think in this day and age, with how many people use online stuff, you need things so simply. Um, I think Mastodon's going to have issues growing like that. I know Blue Sky is the one all people are talking about right now, but Blue Sky I think is still invite only, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that. I have really not been keeping up with all the things are moving so fast now because there's also that Reddit exodus to Tumblr essentially because the whole Reddit meltdown that happened with them removing third-party apps because they were going to charge like 20 million to the third-party apps for their API.
yeah, that's just
So we're in
wild.
a weird period where like people don't really know where to go, which is kind of which you I mean I'm telling you, but you know where how rough it is as a creator trying to promote stuff you're doing. If you don't know where your audience is, it's kind of hard to actually get people to hear what you're doing and everything else. You know?
Yeah, but yeah, because it's not just, like promoting a question of promoting your stuff. It's also a question of what is your art scene like who are you communicating with? Like who is your audience?
Yeah.
And like back if I go back during the Google Plus OSR time, like I had like a good idea of who were the people
Hmm.
active in the scene, like what they were publishing, and so that was giving me like a context as a creator. I was like, oh, I would publish that. I know that it will maybe inspire that other person that I know that will do something. There was like interaction. It was
Yeah.
more meaningful to post.
Yeah.
Eventually, the space also became like toxic for
Yeah.
different reasons, but
Yeah.
there was like a point where it was very like inspiring on the creation level, and I found that a little bit back on Twitter. Like Twitter was the friend naturally, but I also like was interacting with like people regularly and feel and getting inspired by their ideas and inspiring back. And but now these days when I publish something, I feel like I'm throwing like a bottle in the ocean, and I have no idea like who's rating or who's
Yeah.
reading.
No, absolutely. It really is a weird time because I think at least for the last few years, at least the last like maybe 5-7 years, it's just felt like there's been three companies online, and that's how it's going to be forever. But and which not to say that Twitter and Reddit and all that stuff aren't going to keep going. They're going to be fine for a while. I mean, maybe on Twitter, um, but it is weird to see everybody going everywhere. I wonder if Discord might be one of the better places to start like trying to build communities a lot more, since I am seeing a lot more people going to Discord. People are getting more used to it. But Discord's also weird because you have all these different servers. It can be hard to find stuff. Where I know people even looking for official Discords of like RPGs don't even know how to find them. So I think the discovery on Discord's still not necessarily the best way to go about it because it's not really a social media platform like Twitter
Yeah.
or any of those other ones.
Well,
But
yeah, what I find difficult with Discord is that your attention is split into so many
mm,
Discord. Like you will be following like games Discord, creator Discord. You'll be in them, and there will be discussion that will just fly by you,
yeah,
and like it's difficult to remain like
mm-hmm.
engaged and connected with people on a Discord.
Yeah, I've heard that issue a lot. Plus, I've no. This is my own personal issue I've found with a lot of discords that get big around like the 2K amount is that moderators tend to not be able to actually moderate properly because there's just so much going on. So that people start leaving to smaller discords and you start fracturing across. So it ends up
Mhm.
having this big issue where you might be able to get a big community, but then that community might no longer be that easy to interact in anymore because there's just so many bad actors or just so many things going on that you can't keep up with
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but like a good example, like for me, like it's the good friend of Jackson Elias.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I turned contact with you, that
Mm-hmm.
where we became friends,
Yeah.
and I had like a bunch of good interaction there for a while, and at some point, like I was not able to keep up, and I kind of just like muted a bunch of channel
Yeah.
and move it away, and when I came back, it was difficult to get back into discussions
Yeah.
and so yeah, now I check on the channel like after they post an episode of their podcast, I will go there and check a bit and read a bit, and I try to participate to their convention. But beside that, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not.
Absolutely. I completely get that. And like and you're not alone that I've talked to many people who are like I want to get into the or I've had people join my Discord and they're like, listen, I like it, but like I just got overwhelmed immediately by all the channels and I just left. I just could not handle the amount of things going on and my channel is not even that big. So yeah, the Good Friends Jackson, the last one, is huge too. So you see 18 messages going by of a random thing and then it goes up to a different subject. But yeah, anything else that you sort of because I guess this also feeds into a sort of older discussion I wanted to ask you about that I don't know really would have affected you that much. But we had the Twitter meltdown, which has affected a lot of things. But did the whole like Wizards of the Coast debacle, the OGL thing, did that affect you at all? Did that change anybody you knew? Because I know you know a lot of people in the industry. I don't know if you have anything that at all affected you because you play 5e, but like you're not like your stuff isn't necessarily 5e only. You know, compared like with some people.
Yeah, the I mean, for me, it kind of affected me in a positive way because I was contacted by people trying to do their own OGL thing,
Mm,
and I was like, okay, some stuff are emerging from that. That's interesting. But in the end, Wizard back at it back. They went back, and
yep.
people quickly were like, "Oh, D5E, let's go back."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was let down by that because
Me too.
I was hoping to see more diversity of games
Yeah.
and stuff emerging from that. But
Which I still
yeah.
think it did. Because I like you, I actually saw a big bone. Like all my Worlds That Number videos skyrocketed in views. Same with all my DCC videos. Once that happened, people were like, "I want to play other games." So those all did really well during that era, and then they went back on it, and everything went back to dropping again.
Uh,
So I think there was I think there were still a lot of people who did get out of that game, but yeah, I was kind of hoping the same thing where they would just stick to their guns as an idiot corporation.
yeah.
But instead, they went back on it and then just sent Pinkertons after a random reviewer. So I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
what they're doing over there, but it is mayhem.
Yeah. Yeah, but I bet that some people I've discovered on their game at least try them.
Yeah,
So, that's a
still
small
positive.
positive.
Yeah. And I mean, and I still think it's positive, at least on the industry side, even if it's not the consumer side, because a lot of people just went, "Oh, this is a thing that can change. We can't trust that this is like." I think a lot of people took it for granted that this will be this is a forever monolithic agreement that we have, and then like, oh no, we're still dealing with people who are going to try and make profits over profits at the end of the day. You can't attach your products to Wizards of the Coast. Like I think a lot of people still got out of it. So at least there's a lot of people who are detaching themselves from the OGL, which is still I think further diversifies what we're going to be seeing in the future.
Yeah, because me personally, I've been like a proponent of trying to craft third-party content for
Hmm.
smaller games, like taking inspiration from how it went well with Mothership and Morgborg. And I feel like the same formula could be applied to other like even smaller game than that, from people, and I wanted to do that, especially personally. I wanted to do it a lot for like games made by trans people that I know that
Hmm.
are a bit like more obscure, to try to say, well, if that game I've like true adventure, maybe somebody will more be tempted to try it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, people are afraid of taking risks, especially because they're running Kickstarters and stuff. So
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, the money you make from the 5e stuff. For example, I've done a lot. This is probably the last time I talk about because I've done so much on it. But Crypt of the Devil Lich, they did a 5e version and they did a DCC version. And I checked the Kickstarter after I was doing a bunch of stuff, and the 5e sales, at least on the PDFs, I think, were like three times what the DCC ones were for a mainline DCC product usually. So I would like, for a lot of people, for a lot of them on a financial scale, it's like we have to do the 5e stuff because it's just such a huge audience compared to like the more indie stuff, or just non D&D stuff.
yeah, there's that weird effect. It's like I watch a few videos about people that post painting videos of miniatures, and they all have to talk about Game Workshop and Warhammer, because if they don't put that in their video title, like their video will not
Yeah, just
do numbers. Yeah,
yeah.
at all.
No, it's crazy all the things you have to keep in mind for a lot of stuff right now online. It is pretty brutal on a lot of different fronts. Um, let's see here. And yeah, I guess I'll just go to the other Patreon question I had. And this one's a bit of a broad question, so I. But they essentially asked. Actually, they asked two questions. Firstly, it was from Kraken, who asked, "Have you forgiven me yet for killing you guys in that hole in the oak game I ran for you? You wanted to know if you were still holding any resentment towards me for that." Uh,
No, no,
no,
not at all. Like
no, I did. Yeah, no, he was just being a little cheeky bastard. But the second thing you want to know was like, where do you draw inspiration from for your art? Because I know you do so much different art, so you must have just so many different things you must draw from depending on the subject.
that's a that's a very broad question.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I think a lot of my initial inspiration were a bit from like underground comic books, and I also drew a lot of inspiration from like older like art from like old tapestries, and like mythological art, like art that are more like 2D, if I can say, like art on potteries and stuff, because I really like schematic like character and stuff like that. But naturally, I have inspiration from all over the place, like all kind of stuff, and my style like did mix all these things. And these days, I feel like I'm getting a bit more like realistic, if in not fully, but I stylize a bit less like a tapestry like I was doing before.
Hmm.
But and as for my inspirations, I always try to tell like a little stories, like even when I design a character, I'm like, okay, which kind of item to create that is like a bit unique and stuff, and so I try to imagine myself like for myself like a little story that about like creatures and characters, and I yeah I really like to imagine also their personality and stuff. So
Yeah.
like for me, I would say it's maybe a bit like creating a tabletop, like a RPG character in pieces,
Hmm.
and but I draw it instead of doing character sheet,
That's cool.
and
I actually like that a lot.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I guess we all do, like, it's all about the storytelling at the end of the day for for the RPG scene,
Mm.
right? So I guess it's just a different way to do it. Yeah, I think it's a funny question just because also like the I mentioned it earlier, but the his arrival was foretold. Like that's the inspiration for that is that meme, right? Of like that black cat
Oh yeah.
that's in front of like the mural, the which I thought was a very funny thing to base an RPG thing off of. Because I sent that to a friend and they're like, "Oh, Evlyn actually has a scenario based off of this." Because I just said to them as a funny thing. So I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah. I yeah, that was funny because that was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like I when I saw that meme, I was like, oh, that urban ruins, like it's very inspiring with the mural and stuff. I was like, I wanted to do something for Americano Anomalies, which is like a hack of Maketo monsters. But we never did it. And so later when there was Liminal Horror, I was like, oh yeah, that will totally fit. I dig that up from the past and I reworking on it and I did scenario it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the broad amount of inspiration from like Greek vases to just memes to everything in between. It
Yeah.
just
I love also like a lot of I love like horror movies a lot, like weird like everything like occult weird movie. Like I mean like when there's like reality is getting a bit weird, like
yeah.
kind of Silent Hill. That's my favorite horror.
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well I do have one question. This might be the last one I have for you. Because this one I think is interesting because I think anybody who does any sort of creation, regardless of what it is, I think deals with this. But are there any like adventures or projects that you worked on that you're really proud of that you wish got a lot more attention than they actually did? Like in terms of like your usual attention, and then like because I had a this is I'll just as for my example, I don't know how well this video holds up now because it's been like I don't watch my videos. Like I cringe. I literally cannot look at my videos without cringing. But I did a video a long time ago on like an Australian horror film that I was like I put so much work into that one comparatively to everything else I'd done at the time, and it just died on release because it wasn't RPG based, so none of my audience cared at all. So I was just like, damn it, I put so much work into this, and it got nowhere near what I want. So I'm just curious, do you have is there any project that pops in your head where you're like, I did a lot of stuff for this, and then it just kind of I wish more people knew about it or more people, checked it out.
Yeah, yeah. I think like I would say that the grid all of its processions and also the Liminal Hour Adventure and Liminal High School, the Liminal Hour stuff I did.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, all the recent stuff I done since Twitter, that's the thing. Like I
Oh
post
yeah.
them and like I rarely receive like comments coming back
Mm.
towards me. Like I'm very happy that you did a review of
Yeah, no, I
the
mean, I that was also we loved it. Like the groups I ran it for absolutely loved it. One of my friends bought it immediately because they were just like, "This is so cute," and also I'm really creeped out. It was one of those things where like it was also one of the most fun I've had like in that month when I ran games. That was a really fun. The Great All Hallows Eve procession,
yeah.
super fun.
I was hoping some more discussion about it because I've my goal was to do like a rail world adventure that
Hmm.
is fun, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting topic. I was hoping that it will make people talk about that a bit, like that kind of design.
Yeah,
But yeah, beside your review, I did not hear any
yeah.
feedback. And for the liminal hour stuff, I know that it's being played in a convention and stuff, and I was really happy with that. That because if the people that did run the adventure did not tell me about it, like I will have thought that nobody like
Yeah,
engaged with the material and stuff. So yeah,
for
that
sure. Which
that's
I mean,
good.
which is a really hard feeling. Yeah, when you put something out there and then you feel like you don't get much engagement, and you're like, did I just waste my fucking time doing all this? Like, so yeah, no. Getting
Well,
that feedback's really nice.
I got enough experience to know that often when you don't hear feedback, there's always like people that appreciate it silently
Yeah,
and like play it sometime. And so, I trust my work enough
yeah.
to know that it will connect with people. And but Yeah, it's different from, when I did publish Where the Wind Grows Tall, and there was a review, and there was Jason Cordova that did a podcast episode
Yes.
on it, and a play, and also a play, an actual play. So that was really like
Yeah.
good for. I was like, oh yeah, we have to
We're
do
going
more stuff.
places.
Yeah, and yeah, but also there's one of the very obscure adventure I did publish that I've never read about it or anyone playing is the Sad Blue House, which is a bit of a weird, like more poetic adventure. But yeah, I will be somebody like give me some feedback on that
Yeah,
adventure.
what's that one about?
That's one. It's about. It's a weird adventure. It's about like a god that incarnate themselves or as a human person, and they get into a small village or farmland, and they try to live, but things don't go well, and eventually that god like refuse reality and everything, and they transform into a house.
Oh. Oh, that's fun. I like that a lot.
and and all the villagers are transformed into like chairs and table and stuff. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, yeah. It's very, very slightly inspired by the French animation movie Kirikou, because there was like a witch that was transforming people into like fetish object, like totems, kind of small totems and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I really like that ideas, and I tried to like a little something with that. But yeah, I mean, it's not. I understand that it's not like it's not a playable friendly adventure. Like I did not design it like in a
Yeah.
way like to be like fully, playable. Like I think a GM will need to do some work with it to run it.
Yeah.
But still I think the concept is still
That the concept does sound really cool. I do like that a lot. But yeah.
it reminds me a bit, like there's some video game authors that do like sometimes like a weird little small video game that they've a few interaction, but it's really like,
Yeah.
symbolic and
It's like
stuff.
an art piece more than anything else.
Yeah, yeah, a bit. Yeah, it's a bit like that.
Yeah. Um but yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have time for. I don't know if there's anything that you want to plug at all, Evelyn. I really enjoyed talking with you. This is really fun, and and I enjoyed learning more about. Honestly, I was really interested to hear the post Twitter stuff just because of how big that was. Because I've seen so many people complaining about how difficult it's been since. Like, a lot of people have had very like melancholic views of like, I'm glad this is happening in the sense of like, fuck Musk, but also this is destroying my entire like my livelihood and stuff. So I was interested to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It can be very harsh for people that were relying on it, like to do like
Yeah.
find clients for
Yeah.
like commission stuff. Like my Patreon really did help me to get out of
Yeah.
Twitter. But yeah. Uh, if I can add at that, I recently I've been thinking about like trying maybe to form like a small group, like a collective of authors, like to publish together under like a collective name to kind of gain context and meaning and
Yeah.
for publications. So I've been thinking a bit about that. I'm a bit like still I'm not scared, but like I'm prudent because like working with other people, I'm afraid of yeah, like interpersonal conflict or like
Yeah.
difficulties and stuff. So, but I also had like a bunch of experience with that. I did a lot of project with others people and stuff. So I learned from that. So I'm slowly warming up to that idea of trying to do like a small collective of with other authors and
That'd be
stuff.
really cool. I'd be very excited to see that. Yeah, I totally get the being prudent though because I mean we actually I mentioned in the last podcast episode like the Thousand Island guys, those two guys that made those Southeast Asian zines broke up because of
Mm,
whatever issues were going on with them. So those things do happen, but I think strong communication and if you have a lot of experience like you have, I feel like you can overcome a lot of those issues as long as it's very clear. The lines of who's doing what, who's getting what, and what the deal is.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting if we see like some stuff like that, like emerging from because I think that will help. Like that it will feel like small islands in that we can discover in that big season.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's certainly prone to interpersonal conflict.
Yeah,
That we need
absolutely.
to, yeah. Which is sometimes, it's not like out of like malice or everything. It's
No.
just like miscommunication, and everybody's is struggling these days. So
Yes.
things are not easy.
It's not it is a hard time no matter who you are. And RPG authors and creators are already in a pretty intense industry in the best of times. And we are in some really weird times right now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So I think honestly, I think the idea of a lot of people, maybe come together to work on stuff together or do things as a collective, I think is honestly something like that. I think several RPG authors I could see wanting. I think that could be a really good thing. And also, just getting all your names out there more. I think that could benefit everybody involved.
Oh, about talking about my project is the thing I forgot to mention. I did write an adventure for the Chaos Crier designed for the Black Sword Act that the next issue that
Oh.
will come, and I'm very happy with the result. I hope people would read it. So it's about I try to build up on what they publish in issue number 0 about the Deep Ones, and but I'm trying to make a new faction of Deep One. I wrote a new faction of Deep One that is relate differently to their mutation and destiny and stuff.
Oh,
So I
that's
was
cool.
yeah, because the big difference is that, well, like in the Black Sword, you had chaos and balance and
Mhm.
the law. So I was trying to do like a faction of Deep One hybrid that are aligned with the cosmic balance that are trying to balance their Deep One and human nature.
Oh,
So,
that's cool.
but I wrote a bunch of small like quests around that. So I'm curious to see how people will enjoy that. And I did naturally.
I love that. No, that's I like that thematically for deep ones. So I mean, deep ones have been done so many times. So I think having a little bit of a twist on them like that, I think is an interesting way to sort
Yeah.
of analyze them.
and,
And
and, and I really wanted to do something for the Black Sword Act because the book is amazing,
yeah.
and that's one example of a small game that I feel like it will be nice to support, like third party content, like for it. And so, well, that's kind of the official design that from the Mirror Matchment, but still, I feel a bit like third party content.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about the Black Sword hack recently, so I am excited to see that. Whenever I tend to see your stuff, I tend to at least dig deeper, just because I find your art. Whenever like I went through like I think I told you a while back, like I went through knock episode or knock number 2, and I was just scrolling through. I was like, hey, Evlyn's here, and just saw your art through different parts, which sort of makes me stop on the blog post that they're on and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, Ellen. This was really fun. I really enjoyed talking to you. Uh, I'd say to everybody who's listening, definitely join Evelyn's Patreon. Like I said, even if you aren't an RPG creator, it's a load of art you get all the time that's very awesome that you can use in your games and everything else. And it's just really, really good stuff. And yeah, thank you so much, Evelyn.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was fun to talk, and yeah, I love doing these kind of
Yeah,
chats.
just chatting about RPG stuff with
Yeah,
with fellow nerds, exactly.